Morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. I'm here in upstate New York in Hudson to visit Olana State Historic Site. Right now it's about 8:45 a.m. Temperature is about 34 degrees. Had to wait in a little bit because it's a bit foggy. Before we get started on the Frederic Church Olana Historic Site, let's take a look at the visitor center and talking about building a vision for Olana. This seems to be the perfect way to enter this store. Frederic Church was the most famous landscape painter in the United States in the mid-19th century. Over 40 years, he created Olana, 250-acre designated landscape and home. Olana is a New York State Historic Site, National Historic Landmark. It is the most intact 19th century artist environment in the United States and represents the integration of art, landscape, and environmental thinking. Born to a prominent Hartford, Connecticut family, Church traveled to Catskill, New York in 1844 to study with landscape painter Thomas Cole. Through his speaking and writing, Cole influenced artists labeled as the Hudson River School to look toward the American wilderness for inspiration. After studying with Cole, Church traveled extensively to South America, to Labrador and Newfoundland, Greece, and the Middle East. His global travels inspired the creation of large-scale panoramic paintings that brought him critical acclaim and financial success. Yes, that's how he got this property. Church often addressed environmental concepts in the period in his drawings, painted sketches, and large-scale works. These ideas influenced the design for Olana, a family home for his church, his wife Isabel, and their children, where the family lived in close contact with nature. Church continued to develop Olana until his death in 1900. Here's what Frederic Church looks like. That's the property we saw. Here's Niagara, one of the paintings that we see. Good view of Niagara Falls. First great picture. Yep. Here's Hudson Valley. This is in the Smithsonian Design Museum. And the Parthenon in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. This building looks new, refurbished. This is where you get the tickets to go to the tour. Tours are given Tuesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. through 3:45 p.m. This is where you book in. Hold on.
You can. It takes about 30, 40 minutes to get up to the top if you walk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Where was Cole home? Somehow I'm thinking I was in Connecticut when I saw that.
There's only one across the Rip Van Winkle Bridge.
Okay.
So Frederic was born in Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
So maybe that was a correlation.
I'm
Not sure.
not remembering missing that.
Oh, okay. And across the Rip Van Winkle, it's like 3 miles from here.
That's the inside of the house.
So much to do.
Yes.
Preservation efforts in the 1960s. Let's see some of these pictures in detail. Let's take a look at the map right here as we start. We're gonna go into the historic site area. That's where we're parked. Let's take a look at the carriage houses. That's where they used to have the farms. and historic houses. And as we walk, let's talk about some of the history. Noticeably, you can see a farm complex and a lake down in the south. We're right near the Rip Van Winkle Bridge, just we're east of the Hudson River, and we will go to the Hudson River Skywalk. That'll be another video. So, what is Olana State Historic Site? So the historic site is a historic house museum and landscape located in Greenport, New York, Columbia County, near Hudson. The estate was home to Frederic Edwin Church, born in 1826, passed in 1900. He's one of the major figures in the Hudson River School landscape painting. The centerpiece of Olana is the eclectic villa, which overlooks parkland and a working farm designated by the artist. The residence has a wide view of the Hudson River Valley, the Catskill Mountains, and the Taconic Range. Church and his wife Isabel, who lived from 1836 to 1899, named their estate after a fortress treasure house in ancient Greater Persia, modern-day Armenia. Which also overlooked a river valley. So this is the main residence on the left side. It does look very nice. Frederic Edwin Church bought the property with his wife in 1860 and transformed the land into a farm. He was a landscaper and a farmer. Lived here for about 40 years. It's well intact. Here's the carriage house over here. This is the restroom area. But here's the talking about in the later years, in the 60s, 1960s, talking about preserving this area. We'll probably walk around here later and see what the carriage house looks like in other windows, if possible. The park is open, I think 8 a.m., but the tours you actually have to pay. They don't start until 10 a.m. And I'm pretty sure that most of these tours would give you a view of what his house looks like, the residence, and it's built on top of a hill. Let's see if we can see what's inside the doors. This is the office. You can see like the hallway in here. This isn't the main entrance. I do like the wooded fence like that. Yeah, still a little foggy today. Oh, wow. And that's the Catskill Mountains looking west. There's a lot of fog, wow. Let's get a back view of this. So how did Frederic Edwin Church was able to purchase this land? Well, it's because he had two famous artworks that's noticeable. First of all was called Niagara, which was made in 1857. And then there was another one, The Heart of the Andes, from 1859. That painting was able to be sold at $10,000. That was the highest painting for a living artist. And because it was able to be bought and displayed on tours, he was able to collect a lot of the funds to be able to purchase this house. He planted thousands of trees over here. He changed the swamp into turning into that lake. It's well kept. He actually grew a few crops around here as well. This is one of the side entrances. And a nice wooden deck. You can see some of the pictures online, but I think going inside here for a tour is worth it. You can actually see one of these rooms here, like the fireplace. The Olana is one of the few intact artist homes, studio, and estate complexes in the United States. It was designated as a historic landmark in 1965. The house is also a prime example of Orientalist architecture. It is owned and operated by the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and is also supported by the Olana Partnership, nonprofit 501c3 organization. You can see the main building is an architectural masterpiece designed by Church in consultation with architect Calvert Vaux. The stone, brick, and polychrome stenciled villa is a mixture of Victorian, Persian, and Moorish styles. And the interior remains as it was in Church's lifetime, exotically furnished and decorated with objects from his global travels and with 40 paintings by Church and his friends. The house is intricately stenciled and inside out. Church designed the stencils based on his travel in the Middle East, and the house contains Church's last studio, as built in an addition to the 1888 to 1890. So, Frederic Edwin Church, how did he get all these artist techniques or the skills? It's because he was learned by his teacher, Thomas Cole. Thomas Cole is one of the founders, or probably the founder, of the Hudson River School, a movement that focused on the American landscape in painting. And across the river, across the Rip Van Winkle Bridge, the pedestrian pathway is called the Hudson River Skywalk, that opened in 2018, I think, for pedestrians. And it is used to connect between these two historic sites. Thomas Cole's on the other side in Catskills, in, I think it's called Greene County. I walked by here before, but this is the deck on the west side heading towards the Hudson River. This is probably a great spot for painting the landscapes. I'm pretty sure that if you stand, this is probably about 10 feet tall. If you can see this side, And you can see the Rip Van Winkle Bridge right now. The Rip Van Winkle Bridge didn't come into the 1930s, but you get to be able to see the Catskills and Thomas Cole's house. This park is, I think, about 5 miles of horse carriage trails. So yeah, that was their back then, their mode of transportation before they had cars. Ooh, here's about the overview of the Olana. And yeah, originally it was 126 acre, and then he expanded it into 250 acres into the living landscape. Is a very nice part of the park to walk around. And the picture on the left is the map drawn by Church's eldest son. If we stand back here, this is a great shot of the view of the house, looking west, sunrise, and nice tree, open landscape. There is a plaque, and then there is something down there. Those aren't steps, that is a wall. Ah, here's the house. So Olana came in 1878. Olane. Yep. Cool. I think the facade has been updated a bit from the picture from the 1870, and then we see that it looks more like this on the east lawn. I think the greenery on the vines have been removed, which is good. Don't want those stuff growing on your house. I think there's still more stuff to explore here. You can see a nice garden here. Right now it's in the fall, so there's not that much flowers going on, but I believe springtime would be a lot better. If we take a look at this little act right here, this is called the Mingled Garden, maintained by a generous gift to the Olana Partnership from Glenn and Sarah Butash. And you could actually walk in here. Unfortunately, a lot of these plants are dying just because it's getting very cold. As I said, it's 34 degrees. So there was actually a lot of frost on the grass earlier. Just see some of the purple and the yellows. But basically all the other colors are gone. Let's see what that structure is over there. Here's it looking at the north side. Ellen Harvey. Winter in the summer house. This is their summer home. Olana's most enduring mysteries. A small red square marking its location in 1886. Plano Olana is the only evidence of existence. Harvey presents an inventive reimagining of the structure, upending a notion in traditional gazebo. Her summer house is made out of an assemblage of mirrors that reflects the landscape back into itself. Inside Harvey's installation, sunlight filters lines through the engraving on the mirrors. In fact, Harvey calls drawing in the light. The lines form an image of an invented glacial landscape. Elements of the drawing are familiar, borrowing passages from Frederic Church's known paintings of icy landscapes, including the icebergs from 1861 and Aurora Borealis, 1865. Other imagery invokes the urgency of present-day environmental activism, such as a heap of discarded wordless protest signs. That's the door. You can actually go in. Wow. Ho-ho. Cool. All this stuff here looks like clouds, mountain ranges. And this is the exit. They even have a sign right here. So we can go back. That must be the lake over there. Down there. I still see another plaque down there. Let's see what's that about. People of the waters are never still. It was located on the Mohican homeland. For thousands of years, the Mohicanock lived in small family groups that came together and practiced traditions and celebrating villages across Hudson River Valley. They farmed, fished, fertile territory and spanned parts of Massachusetts, Vermont, and Connecticut, shaping the land and moving frequently to maintain resources for the future. The arrival of Europeans destabilized politics of the region, leading to violent conflict between the Mohicans, Dutch, English, French, and nearby Mohawk Nation. Weakened by the war, constrained by the Mohawk encroachment, and pressured into disputing land deals with Europeans, many Mohicans left, settling in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. Church's studio. Although Frederic Church painted his Hudson Valley farm at the time he purchased in 1860, he did not build a studio here until 1864-65. The site you are standing, he erected a plain but ample 20-foot square wooded frame hip roof structure featuring large north window and a porch on the west. Here, Church sketched and painted, completing many of his major works. Grandeur, the view of the Hudson River and Catskill Mountains was inspiration for Church. 1867, however, he noted modestly to a friend, "I am appalled when I looked at the magnificent scenery, circle my clumsy studio, then glance at the painted olive on my easel." Created hundreds of sketches for his new house on the hills on the studios, where he added a studio wing to his house in the late 1880s. Church dismantled this building. And the panoramic view is one of the most celebrated American art landscape history. Protecting the lands beyond the Olana Historic Site will ensure that future generations will also enjoy this breathtaking scenery. Wow. I mean, you can see the fields over there. It's very open. It's a nice view. Let's take a look at these old pictures. That's the old studio right there on the right. And then the sketch catcher they saw daily. And this is what it looked like before. He cleaned it up. Very nice. All right, we've driven to another part of the Olana State Historic Site, which is the farm complex. Let's go. Farm complex is located south and east of the historic house. Let's take a look at the map. Yep, right there. And the lake is on the other side, which was drained out. Gabriela Salazar, A Measure of Comfort. It's a sculpture. I don't think the sculpture's here. But feel free to read it. These are wood blocks. Woodshed. When wood was the major fuel for heating and cooking, woodsheds are ones located here and elsewhere on the farm provided a place to store firewood and keep it dry. Harvested from Olana woodlots, trees were cut into logs and shorter lengths at the farm's sawmill, split into firewood, and left outside all summer to air dry. In the autumn, when sufficiently seasoned, the wood was often sorted by size and type and stacked in the woodshed. The firewood was transported from the woodshed into smaller storage areas around the estate. Wood-fueled fireplaces and stoves are throughout the house, stable, coachman's house, Bresley farmhouse, and Cosy Cottage for cooking, laundry, and general heating. When Frederic Edwin Church purchased his farm, approximately 45% of 126 acres consisted of woodlots and wetlands, highlighted below. He acquired other woodlots and the estate grew. That looks like the wood area stuff. The photograph shows the drawing outside. Yep. And then that's the plan of the Olana State House. The first and second floors of the historic house were originally heated by a hot air system fueled by a combination of wood and coal. A second hot air system was installed in 1889. Heat generated from the furnaces was supplemented by the fireplaces in the primary first and second floors. Rooms and heating stoves, work area, servant quarter, and secondary spaces. Olana's archives include numerous bills and receipts for tons of coals and stove chestnut inside the coal suitable use in stoves. Firewood and coal were stored in the basement. Wow. Interesting how they have like a design like this implanted in the wood. So they're not that completely randomly assorted. You don't see fog here. It's much more in the lower elevation. And it's a little warmer too. This is the ice house. I think that's what the sculpture is supposed to be, what's missing. In June 1869, after the Church family returned to the farm from 18 months abroad, Frederic Church became more involved in agricultural pursuits. He completed several building projects, including construction of a rectangular wood frame ice house on this site. Located near the lake and a road to facilitate loading, unloading, new structure would have had ice harvested from the Hudson River, Olana's lake, or purchased from neighboring farms or commercial ice houses. In the years before electricity and refrigerators, farms often included lakes and ponds, specifically for the production of ice. Ice houses kept food, beverages, and farm products cold. Ice harvesting provided employment for farmers and farm workers during the slow winter months, income for the sale of excess ice to support farms, and a social outlet for the workers as they moved from farm to farm. They also used the plow right here, involved in numerous special tools such as scrapers, chisels, saws, ice markers, adzes, grapples, bars, tongs, and equipment such as elevators to load large blocks of ice into the ice houses. The Gifford Wood Company of Hudson, New York was one of the leading manufacturers of ice harvesting tools and equipment. And this is how they used to harvest the ice. On the ground, on the lake, I think over here. These are big blocks of ice, 10 to 20 inches thick. It can be typically about 22 inches wide by as much as 43 inches long and then cut. This is what it would look like to these ice houses. They're moved into these boxes in a chest. So these are probably the boxes. Water is filled inside. Probably freeze and turn into ice. This is called the kitchen garden. The kitchen garden is so named because it provided vegetables for the house, and the farmhouse on the site also provided the cut flowers for decoration. Panoramic image right here combines the two photographs from the kitchen garden and the barnyard as looked from 1900. It's far right in the photograph. You see the dairy barn with the older barn sheds attached to the west side. On the right, a foreground of a small building. May have been originally been a coachman's dwelling, but at the time served as a garden or tool shed. The farm stable with attached sheds and wagon houses visible behind the large elm tree. These sheds were removed when farming was discontinued, and the far left is a pump house where steam engines pump water from the lake to the house. So that's the original picture. There's the dairy barn, that's the pump house. So a lot of the attractions are located on the right. What's in here? Oh, this is a library. This is like a kids' corner shed. Okay. Poetry in the parks. Some Trees by John Ashbery. Feel free to pause and read this. And the poetry in the park seemed to be started in 2024, celebrate centennial of New York State Parks. Oh, I didn't know this was about 100 years old. John Ashbery is recognized one of the greatest 20th century American poets. This is called the Wagon House Education Center. Let's see if we can get a back of view. Here we go. We can also see the barnyard here. It's usually red. Could be the chicken coop here. 1860s and 1870s transformed a modest family farm into a large operation providing food for his family and visitors to Olana. He did not plan to make a living from the farm, but he expected it to be profitable. He and Isabel took great pride into the farm operation. Special gifts of produce, preserves flow from their home, country home known as the farm until late 1870s, when the name Olana was applied to all 250 acres. Farm life remained central to the church's lifestyle and to the property's sense placed into the 20th century. They provided shelter to the farm animals, cows, horses, pair of oxen, donkeys, chickens, turkeys, Thanksgiving time's coming up close, pigeons, geese, and a few beef cattle. The orchards provided many of the fruits we enjoy today, such as plum, apples, pears, apricots, cherries, and peaches. Those are good. Hay, rye, and corn were planted in selected fields, and the berry beds and arbors produced the raspberry, strawberries, and grapes. Harvest produced a cash crop to support the farm, such as fruits, vegetables, and the family's table. A salaried farm manager oversaw full-time and the full-time, part-time help. Thomas Cole's son Theodore, also known to have served in this capacity for over 10 years. Farming was abandoned here until the 1940s. Many of the farm buildings were moved in the early 1950s. Harvesting rye, and then they're husking corn. Whoa! What is this? Modern equipment in here. Still got more to explore. Let's go back. Let's take the right path. And let's see, there was something over there. Yep, all the way there. Historically known as the Wyson-Bressie Farm, named after the original owner, a man from a local family who purchased the property from 1794 from John J. Rensselaer, built the farmhouse. In 1802, Bressie's son inherited the family farm, which then passed through a succession of owners before Frederic Church acquired it from Levi Simmons in April 1860. Frederic and Isabel did not live in the farmhouse. While their first home, Cosy Cottage, was being built, they boarded Thomas Cole's family across the river to Catskill. Since Frederic was often in New York City and traveling, Cole's son Theodore managed the farm as well as his own and provided much valued guidance. Frederic added 2 rooms to the farmhouse in 1869 and generally used it to accommodate farm managers, farm workers, or guests. The farmhouse had a full cellar loft above the first floor, similar to many Dutch farmhouses built before the Revolutionary War. No longer used after 1950s, farm fell into disrepair. Cellar and foundation walls along the shadow well nearby, all that remained. The farm was documented to a measured drawing by the Historic American Building Survey in 1969. This is the plan right here, the Resi farm. And this is the first floor plan. I think that's the door. Yeah. Yeah, this would be the door. Let's go back on the main path and go to, I think that's called the cottage house. Okay, we're back on the main path. Let's go take a look at the cottage. The Cosy Cottage. Or Cosy Cottage. Upon purchasing the Brezzi farm as their home in 1860, Frederic and Isabel Church determined to build a new, larger farmhouse created in an ornamental cottage style popular at the time. The design embraced the informality of rural homes and served as Frederic and Isabel's country residence in their first years as a family. During this period, their first son Herbert was born in 1862, followed by their daughter Emma in 1864, before both were lost in a diphtheria outbreak in 1865. That is very unfortunate. Though deeply affected, they continued to grow their family. In 1872, their family now included their 4 younger children, Frederic, Theodore, Louis, and Isabel, moved into their new house at the top of the hill. The property, long referred to affectionately as the farm, would be renamed to Olana in late 1870s. To the letter, frequently mentioned to his farm, one correspondent wrote, "Mrs. Church now sits under the apple trees in the luxurious contemplation of the beautiful scenes that encircles our cottage. You ought to run up and see the apple trees. These old patriarchs look like mountains of bridal bouquets." The artist's rendering of the cottage shows the south of west facades as they once appeared. Looks like it's much cleaned up than now. They don't have those vines as we saw before. The pre-1890 view of the Cosy Cottage, taken from the cottage entry drive, shows the house once looked, complete with a hammock in the yard. The wing on the left was erected in 1869, removed in 1955. And in 2005, the wing was reconstructed as part of the Cosy Cottage's restoration. The exterior now appears as Frederic Isabel. It's new. And there's the apple tree. Take a look at the perimeter. So she'll probably be resting on this area where they had apple trees. It now houses the Olana Partnership Houses, which is an office. Cosy Cottage in 1861. Yep, that's an office. Inside is not restored, it's just the stuff. Nice property. That's the back door. I like these little plants in the gardens. There's the roof too. Getting an apple tree, sitting under one, just feels like a very New York thing, as this story of Johnny Appleseed. And New York is called the Big Apple. That's New York City though. I think that's one of the fruits. I'll have to check if that's a state fruit. But yeah, that's the cottage. And ends the farm complex portion of Olana. So you can see the red silo over there. That's a parking lot where we came from. I'm not sure if that's original to the site, but it could be storing for grain. That's what usually silos are for. And next to this carriage house is the shop. It's just about 10 o'clock, so it's about opening time, and that's where you can purchase the tickets, probably at the visitor center, which was entered earlier. That's going to do it for this video. Next video is going to be the Hudson River Skywalk, and we're going to see the west side of the porch where we ended off. If you enjoyed this video, please give this video a like, and please subscribe to the channel if you want to see more venture trips like this from me. And please share this video if you enjoy it. Have you visited the Hudson Catskill area? Have you visited the Olana State Historic Site? If you have, please let me know about your experiences. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye.